Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. It's Brandon again, and today I want to talk about wrist straps that are getting such a bad rap. Yes, so that's a pun, and it's also almost a rhyme. I don't mind the bad pun, but the bad rhyming, I'm sorry about. I need to apologize. I'll leave the bad rhyming to other channels out there. What I want to focus on today, however, are wrist straps, and I'm going to try to emphasize that because first of all, I don't want you to confuse them with wrist wraps, although I'm sure I'm going to do it in this video. But wrist straps are what we use for pulling movements to help us maintain the weight even if our grip strength fails, whereas wrist wraps are used on pressing movements to help strengthen and reinforce that wrist. So this video is going to be on straps. Although I should probably say maybe it'll be on both because I'm sure I'm going to mess it up at some point. But I wanted to talk about this because I get a lot of different opinions on this, and I get a lot of people that ask me should they use them or not. So regardless if you're a beginner, an intermediate, or advanced lifter, your opinion might vary based off your experience. Now, as far as my opinion on the subject goes, I look at wrist straps as a tool. And I will save you some advanced questions and assumptions that I'm going to make a lot of tool and penis jokes like I did on my Inzer belt unboxing. I got that all out of my system, hopefully, so I'm not going to do any more on this review. I'll do some new bad jokes on this one, I'm sure. But I look at it as a tool, just like anything else. Maybe like a weightlifting belt, maybe like training till failure. Maybe for some of you, this might be like supersets or drop sets, things like that. These are things that can be used to be beneficial, and I'm not saying necessarily any of those things are beneficial. I'll get into a video on supersets, drop sets, and all that stuff. But it's also something that, if abused, can be detrimental. So using straps too often, in my opinion, might be detrimental to your training. However, a lot of this, and most things in life, a lot of personal preference and your own mindset kind of come into play. So this is how I think about things. When I train anything and potentially consider using these straps, I kind of mentally ask myself this question of, what am I trying to do here? And in most cases, when I'm considering using straps, it's move a lot of weight, because when I use them, it's more than likely on heavy bent over rows or on heavy deadlifts. So if there's the potential for me failing on this lift as far as my grip strength goes, before some of my other muscle groups give out, my bigger muscle groups, the ones that are more in control of these movements, I might use straps just to make sure that I'm able to move the weight for my desired amount of reps. However, where I don't use them is when I'm doing a set of something that, first of all, doesn't recruit heavy weights. So if I'm doing something like maybe lat pull downs, maybe seated cable rows, I don't really see the point of using straps in that circumstance. But again, going with heavy weights and heavy compounds, they can be very beneficial. Now, some of the people out there will say, well, bro, you're a pussy. If you can't move that weight to begin with, if you can't hold it, you shouldn't be lifting it. And I can kind of agree from somewhat of that mindset if your primary goal is to just have the strongest grip strength you can get. Now, don't get me twisted here. I don't know if I can say that. I don't know if I can pull off saying, don't get me twisted. Maybe I'm supposed to say, don't get it twisted. I think that sounds more familiar. Some of those songs I listen to. I'm sorry, I'm white. But don't get it twisted what I'm saying. I'm not saying that grip strength isn't very important. I believe it is. And in fact, some of my favorite channels do grip strength training videos like Big J and Paul Knight. It's something that's very important. However, again, I prioritize what I'm trying to do. So if I'm trying to do deadlifts, I don't look at deadlifts as a grip strengthening exercise. I stuttered so much because I'm just thinking about doing deadlifts, I guess. But I look at it as more of a complete body exercise, focusing more on things like the lower back, hamstrings. So that's what I focus on. So I want to prioritize those muscles and their importance. I want to make sure I work them till failure. Now, if the problem is that my grip strength isn't strong enough to get me there, then I might again use straps in that case. However, if I'm going lighter or not using optimal loads, I don't see the point in using the straps, because in that circumstance, you are taking away from your grip strength. Now, again, for these people who are going to come out and say your grip strength sucks, you shouldn't be doing this if you can't lift it. If grip strength is honestly that important to you, and to some people it really is, you should probably have dedicated grip strength exercises in your routine already. So again, depending on where you stand and where your mindset is, wrist straps can be very effective if used correctly. If overused to the point where they're redundant, it can be detrimental to your grip strength, but it really just depends on your own personal opinion. Oftentimes we try to impress upon others our own personal feelings, when in reality, who are we to say shit to them? So let people do their thing. If you want to use wrist straps, do it. Just know you might get called a pussy, but who cares, right? You are what you eat. In the meantime, everybody, thanks so much for watching, and stay big.